Welcome to Stock Shots. We are so pleased to have legendary investor and author Mr. Jim Rogers back with us on Stock Shots tonight. The full video can be seen at www.stockshots.tv. That's www.stockshotz.tv. Thank you for listening.
Jim, thanks for being with us on Stock Shots today.
I'm delighted to be here.
Mr. Rogers, we have seen unprecedented government bailouts. We've got interest rates at historical lows, and our viewers are asking us how the dollar is holding up right now as well as it is.
Well, very simple. We're in a period of forced liquidation of all assets, no matter what the fundamentals are, and many people are being forced to reverse their positions and the gigantic short positions in the U.S. dollar. All those people who are being short the dollar are getting redemptions or losing margin, getting margin calls, or losing their credit lines, and so they have to cover. It's very simple. It's an artificial rally, just like many other things are at artificial prices right now because of anomalies in the market.
Would that hold true as far as the anomalies go for oil prices as well? Because we've seen oil just fall at an unbelievable pace.
Think about anomalies. The spread between WTI and Brent is the highest in recorded history. The only reason WTI is going down is because the storage facilities for delivery of the commodities exchange is in a place called Cushing, Oklahoma, and they're full of, all the tanks are full. So people are dumping. But if you look at Brent crude or gas oil or gasoline, all the other energy products are going up because the shortages are developing. And that's another one of these anomalies in the market right now, in this period of strange things going on despite the fundamentals.
I've heard you say several times that you're the worst market timer in the world, and I've set my goal to become the second worst market timer if that's the case. But how do you craft your strategy in terms of, I'll give an example. I heard you on TV for a long time say you were short Fannie Mae. You had that position, you stuck with it, and it paid off. What fundamentals in the economy, I'm assuming you would still recommend shorting the dollar and just riding it down as the fundamentals are there and they will eventually play out?
Well, I am not short the dollar or shorting the dollar at the moment. I do own some foreign currencies, but my plan is to use this artificial rally in the dollar, and sometime this year, or maybe sooner, maybe later, I don't know, to get out of the rest of my U.S. dollars. I will go just get completely out of dollars. I am an American citizen, obviously, but I don't want to own dollars after a while. Will I then short the dollar? I suspect there'll be a time when I will, but that's not right now. I've still got enough long positions I need to get rid of by then of being an American citizen before I start shorting the dollar.
What do you think the ultimate impact of all this government printing is going to be? I mean, we're hearing a potential $1 trillion stimulus. Where does that land us? And as it appears that our banking system is headed towards socialism.
It's there. What do you mean? It's certainly there. Well, let's put it this way. Many of the major banks are bankrupt, totally unadulteratedly bankrupt. And they will wind up either being dismembered or taken over completely by the government or merged or whatever. But there are banks in America that have been waiting for this moment, who have good balance sheets, who didn't make crazy commitments, and those banks hopefully will thrive going forward as these others, who are basically bankrupt now, have to deal with their problems. One of the great horrors of what's happening in America right now is that America is taking the assets from the competent people, many brokers, many bankers who didn't make mistakes, who kept their powder dry, and waiting for this time to take market share. Unfortunately, the government's now taking things away from them and giving them to the incompetent banks the incompetent brokers to prop them up, and they're saying, okay, now you can compete with the competent people using the competent people's money. I mean, this is outrageous. Well, first of all, it's outrageous economics. It's unbelievably bad economics to prop up the whole faltering system instead of letting the incompetent fail. But it's terrible morality, too.
Absolutely.
Think about all the people who have been waiting for this and now find themselves, oh, you saved all this money, you're liquid and ready to pounce? And the government says, no, we're going to take all the government money and give it to the, and when I say take government money, that's your money and my money, in taxes and bonds and everything else. We're going to take your money, give it to these people, and they can compete with you. You know, this is insane.
We've had people on our show argue that the government, and particularly the Federal Reserve, will not have the tools to fight inflation once inflation takes hold after all this printing. Will the Fed have the tools to fight inflation, or is the Fed out of bullets?
Well, the Fed is out of bullets. They've ruined their own balance sheet. You know, they took on hundreds of billions of dollars of garbage onto their balance sheet. The Fed is going broke. No question about that down the road, which is a good thing. As far as I'm concerned, we'll get rid of the Fed finally. But will they be able? Well, they'll certainly have the wherewithal to do it. But what it would take to stop inflation after what they've unleashed right now would be interest rates. I don't know. You pick a number, 7%, because you know they have unleashed and printed and borrowed and spent such huge amounts of money that the dollar's got to be under pressure. Interest rates have to be under pressure. Inflation's coming. So, yeah, they could reverse it. Will they? No. You think any congressman is going to let the Federal Reserve take interest rates to 70%? Or whatever, I mean, making that number up, you know, whatever it would take? Of course not.
Well, I don't know that any of the congressmen are going to have the appetite to see that first increase, given all of the fear that's been in the economy. One of the things that we had a guest on the show, and he argued that we're actually in a period of deflation right now, and that there's really not a danger of the money that the Fed has printed because it is just replacing the wealth that is destructed. Now, I disagree with his point of view. What are your comments on that idea?
Well, the idea that all this money that's being printed and borrowed and spent is just to replace. I mean, that is so laughable. Well, that's what he thinks, and he should invest accordingly. Now, I'd say we're in a period of forced liquidation where everything is being sold, or positions are being reversed. So, yes, we just talked about crude oil. Crude oil is down to, in West Texas, down to $35. But that's only because of the forced liquidation. Brent is trading at $48 right now. You know, oil in the rest of the world is going up, not down. So he's right to the extent that during this temporary period with forced liquidation, some prices are going down. Is that going to lead to deflation? No, well, let's put it this way. Printing such huge amounts of money and spending such huge amounts of money has always led to higher prices down the road. It has never, in the history of the world, led to deflation.
For the rest of this great interview, visit our website, www.stockshots.tv. That's www.stockshotz.tv. Thank you for listening.